like we should talk about Yakuza 6.
Yes.
I feel like we should.
Okay, when's this game coming out now? It was delayed, right?
April 17th is the new release date.
Yes.
Okay, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. You guys have been playing a fair amount. How would you quantify the amount you've played?
I've only played about an hour.
Okay,
I played more than an hour.
All right, great.
The full spectrum.
Yakuza 6. So I feel like Yakuza's always been around. It's the thing that everybody in the industry has felt guilty about not getting around to. Each and every person in the world, I believe. Then Yakuza 0 came out last year, and Kiwami. But 0 came out first, and then everyone's like, I'm going to give it a whirl. And it feels a little bit like Monster Hunter maybe does now, where it's like, oh no, this is great. This is the one I can get into.
Yeah.
And ever since Yakuza 0, there's been a ramping up, I feel like, of interest in the West, outside of the super smart people that jumped to it before.
Correct.
Yakuza 6 now, what was so appealing about Yakuza 0 was that it was like, hey, it's a prequel. You don't need to know anything. Jump on in. Yakuza 6, we're back to being intimidating again. For me, am I incorrect?
You're incorrect.
Yeah, what a stupid thing to say, Ben Hansen.
Okay.
A real
I'm sorry.
dum-dum.
Imran, do you play Yakuza?
I have played every Yakuza game, yeah.
Oh, you're
nice.
that guy. Holy cow, you should have
I am that
interrupted
guy.
me. Good Lord.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been on enough. You can feel free to interrupt Hansen at any time. It's really good to listen to.
Yeah, feel free to close your laptop lid as well
Pull the
whenever you want
microphone
to.
away.
So why am I incorrect for thinking that this one might be tough to get into since it's the 6th entry?
Leo, I'll let you answer this one.
Well, early on, without giving too much away, there's an interesting little sequence where you're walking past in this dreamlike state. You're walking past like a dozen characters, and you can go and talk to each of them, and they're just... And Kiryu just describes his relationship with that character, and it just kind of like fills you in on anything you may have missed from the whole series, or at least as much as that's going to matter in Yakuza 6,
Yeah.
the Song of Life.
This
They
does
want
not have a
to say.
sensation. It does not feel like you're walking into season 6 of a long-running television show halfway through the first episode.
Right, okay.
And you're like, wait a minute, who or what? Like, the big beats are very easy to pick up on. You're like, okay, there's this guy. He's former Yakuza. He's got some, like, and it's framed in such a way, too, where, like, you see almost immediately, they have been showing this in trailers, so it's not what I would consider a spoiler. Kiryu is in possession of a human baby, and you're like, where did this come from? And then that's the big mystery. So I think it's set up in such a way that even if you are coming into it as a huge Yakuza nerd, you would you'd be kind of like discombobulated somewhat.
Okay, because it is a jump ahead in time a little bit.
Yeah, that's a much more elegant solution than it used to be, because like 4 and 5, the thing was the game encouraged you to go to the options and watch a 3-hour movie explaining to you the entire story so far.
The old Kingdom Hearts treatment.
Oh my
collection
God, that
treatment.
sounds unbelievable. And so is the entire game then just like the new God of War, where you're just escorting around your kid, or what is it?
It's escorting around a human baby. It's very slow.
Crawling, trying to keep up desperately behind
Nudging
you.
it with your foot when it runs out of steam. But
It's just like it's just an aspect of the plot. It's not like a...
yes.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
not constantly holding one baby in your arm as you're fighting.
No.
No.
You throw it to the ground like a football.
So how do you
Speed
feel about
action.
Yakuza 6 so far?
It's freaking great.
It is? Okay, as great as 0 so far in your experience?
Oh boy. I don't know, because it could, like, okay, I will say this. Things could turn around catastrophically, and it could just be one of 2018's biggest bummers. And it will be a notorious game from this point forward. But
Yeah.
from what I have played of it, I'm having a grand time. Love
Man,
it.
I was looking at some gameplay footage you guys have captured, because you put up a new gameplay today showing it off.
That's correct.
And it's just absurd looking at the Yakuza series in general, but then also just the footage that I was combing through, just to be like, man, it really is just a $60 plane ticket to Japan. Like, there's just this long sequence of the footage you captured, at least, of walking into basically a McDonald's and slowly looking through the menu and ordering what you want, and just like the soundscape, everything about it is so detailed
Doing
and
it
so
in first
bizarre.
person, too, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so Leo, now that you've been to Japan, do you have a whole new appreciation for just the fidelity of the Yakuza series?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I finished off Yakuza 0 after playing a little Yakuza 6. I discovered I hadn't quite beat it. So going back to that still, it was still like, yeah, this is Japan. Especially because that game has Osaka in it, which is where I stayed most of the time I was there.
That's awesome.
If you want to hear me talk about my time in Japan extensively, that's pretty much all the new gameplay today for Yakuza 6 is.
Here we go. And so 6 is modern day now?
2016, so close enough.
Right.
Okay. Pivotal year. Pivotal. Fantastic year. Well, that's interesting. And so picking up in the future, and I watched this trailer a while ago that blew my mind, and I think this is basically every Yakuza game, but it was a trailer just highlighting the different mini games available. It is absurd. There's like a full baseball sim. There's babysitting. It's just, they just keep on going. How does Sega afford this? How does the Yakuza get away with just pouring on all these resources to these absurd amount of side activities?
I think Sega is actually Yakuza.
Oh, I understand now.
So,
Yeah, it's a huge product placement deal. Brand synergy.
Imran, I mean, throughout the series, are you playing these side activities?
Yes, I platinum most of those games. I don't remember if it's actually a real thing or just a rumor, but the way I believe it's supposed to work is that prototypes happen in Sega for games that don't get off the ground, but what they do is they wrap those things into Yakuza instead.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's like, okay, we could make a monkey ball game, but let's just go ahead and put the main character of Yakuza inside a giant ball instead and call it a mini game.
I mean, like the director behind the Yakuza series, Nagoshi, is the monkey ball guy.
Are you kidding
That's why
me?
there hasn't been any a lot of monkey balls since then, is because this is what he does now.
Oh, I had no idea that was just a random pull. That's awesome. Is hype just, you must follow the Yakuza series community and whatnot, Imran. Are people really stoked for 6 after 0 and the last one?
So the concern I've been seeing is that people, after 0 especially, is that in 0 and Kiwami 2, Kiryu has multiple fighting styles. In Yakuza 6, he doesn't. So I see a lot of people thinking, like, you do a lot of battling in that game, so people are concerned about whether that'll get repetitive over time.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Cork?
From my experience, not especially. I kind of like in previous games, I would dabble with certain fighting styles, and then I would kind of land on one that would be kind of my bread and butter that I would stick to predominantly at a certain point anyway. So I may not be representative of that community. Maybe people are really into like, I'm switching up all the freaking time. Mostly, as long as I could pick up a bicycle and smash somebody over the head with it, we're good.
And that's still a main
I'm
component.
a very
of this
smart
game.
person. Is
I'm gonna
basically
Actually,
trying to say.
Cork, here's my question.
Yes.
You know those things in Yakuza 0 where you're going to face a boss and it gives you that really cool moment of like the slowdown and like the boss title and all that?
Yes.
Does Yakuza 6 have that?
Yes.
Then that's great. That's all I need.
It looks cooler than ever.
There is
Really?
I won't spoil something, but there is a reveal of a character that kind of plays with that convention a little bit in a fun and unexpected way. So that is completely useless for everybody, but when you see it, you may or may not
In
recognize
2.5 months, you're going to recall this conversation.
Yes.
So it seems to be striking that same tone of surprisingly good writing and storytelling combined with just the most over-the-top batshit stuff.
Yes, and my favorite thing about the series, and I'm not as hardcore as Imran, so maybe like the character takes some wildly divergent things later on, but I think that Kiryu is like a really cool character in that he's like a big badass fighter, but he's also very compassionate in the submissions, and I think that the game has heart to it that other open world type games and just games in general like don't have. Like I think that he's at his core a good person, even though he's involved in some things that perhaps are not so great.
Definitely.
But he handles himself, like his interactions with other people, he's always like kind and generous, and I find that compelling.
He's almost like the Cooper from Twin Peaks, just
Yeah.
like this ray of light. in this
Exactly.
dark
You just
world.
talked about beating someone's head in with a bicycle.
They
Yeah.
deserve it.
Yeah, they were. It clearly said thugs.
Oh, I see. All right. Game on, boys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.